Welcome, Soul Flow podcast fam.
Soul flow, soul flow.
We are here today on our third episode, and we are so glad to be here. We have a very special guest today. She is our nurturer. She is our mama bear. She is our accountant and all things inner child, Miss Josie. And we're going to be diving in more into her story today. But before we start, how is everyone doing today?
Ooh, great. Excited.
Alive. Highly blessed and favored, as always.
I messed up, y'all.
I love everyone's colors today. Everyone just looks so vibrant.
Vibrant. I know. I was thinking that word too. Vibrant.
Vibrant.
Yes.
We got the soul flow rainbow going on today.
For sure.
Mm.
It's our colors. I love it.
So, ladies, how are we doing today? Aisha, how are you doing?
You know what I'm going to say, Raquel. Highly blessed and favored to be here with you all. All these faces make me so happy. Steph, our visionary. How are you today?
Oh, thank you, Aisha. Ladies, I am feeling alive. I am feeling super grateful and excited to be here with you all. Kelly, how are you doing?
Oh, thanks, Steph. I'm great. It is Saturday. So I always enjoy the weekend. It's just a nice time to decompress and be with family and friends. And it's a super bonus that I get to see you ladies on Saturday. This is not our usual day. So I'm excited to be here with you all.
That's right.
Josie, how are you?
I'm excited and nervous at the same time. I've never been interviewed. And it's not even an interview. It's like talking to friends, right? Soulmates. But I'm excited. My heart, though, is like pounding. But I love seeing y'all faces too. Raquel, the warrior. How are you, girl?
Thank you, Josie. I'm really good. I'm super excited this weekend. It's actually a holiday weekend for me. It's Brazilian Independence Day, so we're excited. I do a little something fun tonight. We'll see. But I am even more excited to dive into your story, Josie. So we have our famous question, and it is your turn to answer it. What makes your soul flow?
It's very interesting because I've had some time to ponder this question since you all have answered it before. And I've had such a transition this year from really understanding my soul and really connecting with it, that if you would ask me a year ago, actually even this year, I couldn't give an honest answer. But being here in this very moment and experiencing what I've experienced the past 6 months with being in the Dharma Coaching Institute and meeting all the lovely people, amazing people, I really had a chance to just sit with myself a lot. As you mentioned earlier, I'm a mom, have 3 kids, and my mind is just always go, do. And, you know, earlier this year, I was very, very overwhelmed to the point like where anxiety came in, and I've learned how to meditate. And so what makes my soul flow is just being in that meditative state where I sit in silence and I listen to God, I listen to universe, and my soul just flows through my body and just projects out into the world. You know, I'm working on a couple things, and one being a journal, and I'll just give an example that you know, when you know your soul's purpose and you work on it, like it's very hard because being in society and day-to-day living, there's so many things to do, like so many things thrown at your face. And, you know, like for me, I choose the easy thing to do. Like, oh, I got to do dishes. I got to do laundry. I got to take my kids to school. But really like knowing what you're made for on this earth and sitting with that, like my journal, like it just, my soul like flowed through me out into the world, like I was saying. So what makes my soul flow is being in the present moment, sitting in silence and being still.
I love that, Josie. And so many of us in this world could use more of that, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really, it's so funny because I always told myself I couldn't meditate because my mind is just always going. I'd sit there, and this was for years, and I would sit there and thoughts would just race and I couldn't stop it. And I don't remember who it was. I think it was Derek Rydell. He's a spiritual influencer. He said, just sit back on the side, like pretend you're just sitting on the side of the freeway and your thoughts are cars. Like they're just cars passing by. And every time I sat down for like months and months, I would just imagine like the cars were my thoughts passing by. And I think that's what really helped me get over that hump, and also like listening to guided meditations. But yeah, taking the time to dedicate and know that there's so much more for you, I think is what helped me move along, because, when you're in that day-to-day living, it's just hard to get out of it. It's really hard to get out of it. I know Steph mentioned community in one of the previous episodes, and, being in community and having like-minded people really helps too. So.
Absolutely. We have certainly seen firsthand what community of like-minded people, of really souls that are here for the same purpose. It's exponentially powerful. It just makes everything so much better. And with that, Josie, when or how was it that you realized that you were meant for more, that you wanted more out of this life? When was that moment for you, or possibly more than one?
Yeah, so I've always been like an overachiever, like wanting more in life. Ever since I was little, I guess, like always when I was in high school and like before, getting straight A's. When I went to college, I was like complete opposite. I partied all the time. I flunked out of ASU. I was like, that was my time to like just go and be free and be crazy. And I can't believe I'm still alive to this day. All those Vegas trips. And I do have to say, I love my college friends. I am still very, very close to them to this day. But then after college, just like, I guess climbing the corporate ladder, I would say, like, just wanting more in that aspect. But as far as like, because there's a difference to me, there's like wanting more and knowing that you want to achieve more. And then there's like living your soul's purpose. And I didn't know that I was truly meant to live my soul's purpose actually until like 6 months ago. I had this job. It's not my job right now. It was my previous job. And I like accounting. I'm really good at it.
Is that what you got your degree in, Josie?
In finance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I'm really good at it. My previous job before the one that I hated, I worked there for 6 years, and it was like project-based accounting where I can be creative and implement new processes and, use my mind in a more impactful way. This job, it was just like, do this, do that. Deadlines. And it was like, there was never enough. I could never get on top. I could never feel free. I always felt buried, and I just hated that feeling. I was overwhelmed, like on top of the work duties and coming home and like driving the kids to soccer practice, doing laundry, getting groceries, making sure like the kids are happy with their play dates, spending me time, trying to have a relationship with my husband. It was just like way too much. I was grumpy all the time, which projected grumpiness to the kids and Josh. And then I started feeling anxiety. And I think that was the moment that really switched for me, because I was so close to going to the doctor and getting anxiety pills just to make the pain go away. And within that time, I was listening to Sahara Rose. My spiritual journey kind of started 2 years ago when I wanted to pay off credit card debt. I was introduced to Derek Rydell, who I mentioned before. And then from there, introduced to Sahara Rose. So I've been listening to her for a couple years now. And luckily, at that time, when I was going through anxiety, she had the Dharma Coaching Institute program. And, you know, I made the excuse, like, I can't pay for this. I don't have any money. And I didn't have any money, but thank God, like, I think he knew that I wanted to change and I was willing to change, where it just worked out, like, because of God, universe, and what he saw in me. And so when I signed up, like, I just didn't end up going to the doctor to get those anxiety pills. And I feel like ever since then, like, my life has just transformed in so many different ways in the past 6 months, which is just crazy. So that was a very defining moment for me, having that anxiety feeling. I told my boss, well, I had a conversation with Josh. I'm like, I can't work here anymore. I just can't. Like, I'm getting anxiety. He's like, well, it's a really good job. Like, it's a remote position. You make good money. I'm like, I know, but I just can't do it. So I think that day or the next day, I told my boss, I'm like, this is not a good fit. And then, long story short, he ended up giving me a 2-week notice. I had no other job in place. Luckily, I was interviewing. And again, by the grace of God, I was let go, or gave my 2-week notice on a Friday. And then that Tuesday, I got a job offer. And this is all while, like, having kids and making a good amount of money. And I didn't care what was going to happen. And that sounds selfish in a way, but I knew, like, in the deepest of my heart, that God will provide, that universe will provide. And so to me, yes, like, we could have lost the house or, you know, not have food because of the income. But in my eyes, I'm like, it'll all work out. I don't know how, it'll all work out. So yeah, got the job offer on Tuesday and then started DCI. And yeah, I guess that was like my spiritual moment of, like, knowing that there was so much more in life, that we don't have to have that burden on us. Like, that is not how to live life. You should not have a burden on you, no matter what it is.
I think it's really incredible to hear people's, like, journeys with spirituality, because people think it's all like positivity and love and light. And usually people are, like, at their last, like, moments of life, like, struggling, fighting, thoughts of wanting to even be alive, when they get this, like, moment of this, like, or this, like, perspective change. And then everything changes. And I feel like I just consistently hear this pattern, that I was, like, at my worst, and then this happened. And it sounds like the same thing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I also like to think of, like, aligned action in the way, because without aligned action, you're just going to live the same life. You're going to live the same patterns. It has to have that, like, faith. But then what are you doing to push yourself and break away those patterns to live your best life?
Yeah, that's so true, Josie. And you just saying that made me think, like, so, you know, you were saying that you were at that moment of just total overwhelm and anxiety, and then DCI knocked. And, like, I was just thinking, like, what if you had not listened to the knock and had instead been like, no, I can't do it right now. I don't have the money. I don't have the time or whatever, because you're already feeling overwhelmed, right? Like, what that would have looked like.
I'll tell you exactly what it would have looked like. I would have been stuck in the same pattern, miserable, overwhelmed, hating my job. you know?
I feel like it's very common too for people to use excuses like, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, and maybe doubt or fear kicks in. But in that moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In that
Yeah.
in that moment, Josie, we all want to talk. In that moment, Josie, like, did you feel like did you feel something in your body, or like, was there like something that you felt like with your intuition or anything for you to like be able to like make that, that committed decision of like, I am going to do this with all that, what was going on? Like, you were thinking about your, what is it? What's the word? Your
Possibilities.
right. Yeah. And your obstacles, I guess. And at the time, kind of excuses, but
Yeah.
Well, I was
It's
thinking the same thing because Steph, when you said before too, like people use them as excuses, but I think it's really fear. Right. So like for you, Josie, in that moment, you were so brave and courageous
Yeah.
to overcome the fear. Like kind of what Steph was just saying. Was there something that gave you the courage? Like, how did you know that that was it?
Yeah.
I couldn't go back to living that way.
Mm.
I could not picture myself living that way every single day. If anybody like really knows me, they know I'm a happy person. I look at the glass half full. I see like positivity in everything. And I was not living that way. And I could not, I just could not go back to that. I couldn't. So it was actually the fear of going back to that way instead of the fear of the possibility.
Beautiful.
So amazing.
Would you say it was like you were sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Yeah, definitely. And I like your question too, stuff about like, was there something in my body or like my intuition that knew? So I've never been like a very intuitive person. And well, it's interesting because the more I sit with myself, I can feel it, like it's coming through. But because I'm like so in my mind about everything, like in the past, and not really like feeling into my body, I kind of relate it to like masculinity and femininity. Like I'm very masculine in that way, where I'm just like, do it, let's go, like just get it done type personality. Not really feeling into my emotions.
I can relate.
Yeah.
We definitely got some heavy masculine energies in this
some
group.
pitta energy here.
Yeah, we got a lot of pittas.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say that's why I love this group, because it's a mix of like everyone, and that's what people need to balance themselves out for sure.
And intuition is like a tool, Josie, right? Like it's like the more you sharpen it, the more you practice it, the more you sit with it and trust it. They say that if you're asking for anyone else about your intuition, you're like not trusting it right there, right? If it's not outside of you, no one knows your intuition better than you. So, and that is a big part of the feminine, right? Because we really are like neck down in our bodies, like listening to our gut, the sacral. And so, yeah, I think the more you lean into that, the sharper it'll become.
Yeah.
Interesting to see the changes that you've been able to make even in this short period of time, right? Even just from the time when we started kind of getting together and talking about this podcast, we've seen you kind of develop more of your glow and come out of your shell more and just shine more of your light. And we're so happy to be here.
And I think your story is so inspiring, Josie. Like the amount of listeners, I bet, that could resonate with this story of like needing to get out of a place where they have been stuck for a while. And it's like just taking that leap of faith of, if nothing else, doing it for yourself. I love that you said that you couldn't go back for yourself. Couldn't put yourself through that anymore.
Yeah.
And being a mom,
That's
adds
what I
on
was
to
going to
that
say.
too, right? Being a mom and doing what you've done and what you continue to do, as Aisha said, is so inspirational because I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we have that similar upbringing where moms typically are the martyrs. They're the ones that constantly give, and never tend to themselves or follow their own dreams or ambitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting some chills when I'm sharing this. You and other moms, when we do that and we take time for ourselves, we are making such a huge contribution to humanity because we're then showing our children what that's like and how powerful and important that is and that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That it can be done. So yes, Josie.
And even showing other women that are in maybe just a few steps behind, you, Josie, or any of us here. Like, we were just there, hang on. Like, it gets better. We are all flawed. We all have bad days. We are all here. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to share with you guys that we are not perfect and that we are not.
We go through our struggles too.
Mm-hmm.
Josie, I wanted to ask you because it seems like you're very passionate about journals and it seems like journals has helped you. So can you share with our listeners how, having a journal, how it's added value into your day-to-day?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really great question, Steph. When I was going through the time of like anxiety and overwhelm, meditation and journaling really helped me through it. Both of those things, like I did daily. And when I think of journaling, like me being in my mind, there's so much energy stuck in my mind that I didn't realize, and it's not being released. It's just there. It's just a cycle. Like you just overwhelm, anxiety, and you can't get out of it. So you need to release that energy somehow. For me, it was journaling. Every time I journaled, it was releasing that negative energy in a way, making room for new energy. And that new energy, I guess for me, was like meditating, listening to the inspiring, podcast or guided meditation. So I do think it's important for people to release, energy in any sort of way, whether it be like yoga, painting, anything. There's a huge connection between mind, body, and soul. And when one is out of balance, like your soul doesn't flow, right? Your soul doesn't flow. And to get those connected, that's when you live like a more blissful life. Not to say like life is always roses and butterflies, because it's definitely not. It's just more aligned. You just feel more soul-y, like in your soul. Yes, soul flow.
More at ease. You feel like your life or your day-to-day is more like at ease, kind of?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel like you have more power in that way? Like, does it give you a sense of empowerment as opposed to when you're in, or when you were in that time of major overwhelm? I know in my own overwhelmed periods, I feel powerless, right? Which adds to it for me. So did that help for you? Did it give you the sense of like empowerment, like you can take charge of the energy in a way?
I feel like I might be, well, do you mean like the energy like in my body or like how I showed up? Even when I was overwhelmed and like had that feeling, I didn't ever feel really powerless. And I'm trying to think of like how to say this. I think because I'm a very independent person and I'm maybe stubborn in a way too. I know what I want for the most part, and like nobody can tell me different. And so like, yes, I was going through like overwhelm and anxiety, but I also knew like I had to switch jobs and nobody could tell me different. There have been times in my life though, Kelly, that I have felt powerless. Yes. Where I've slept in bed and I did not want to see the time of day. And I would just lay there for days. So it's not to say that I've never felt that way, because I definitely have. And, maybe that's why I now am always going, because I know like if I just sit and chill and not do anything, I'll just go back to like my old ways and just be like binge watch the Real Housewives of Orange County back in the day, which I freaking love that show. But yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, totally. And no, I think that makes total sense, right? In that time, you still, and as you were speaking and talking about how like you knew it, I'm going, oh, well, yes, that's your masculine, right? That's
Yeah.
that masculine energy of, no, I'm going to take care of this. So there is a sense of power there, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe those moments of, like you mentioned, where you did feel powerless, that was before you learned the journaling and meditation tool.
1000%. Yes.
Right.
1000%.
I keep getting this message to just say how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sounds like, yeah, that you had to make those shifts to shift your entire life. That one shift of that job or, you know, whatever it may be. Sometimes it is just that one thing, but it's like, if there's so much energy of hate or like, oh my God, this one thing, even if it's not that bad, but if it's energetically messing you up that much, it's going to affect everything else in your life. And then our internal life reflects our outer perspective. So the way you do one thing, the way you do everything.
A good message, Aisha.
It is. And I kind of just I want you to explain that to everyone, that projection, how you feel inside, because I feel like
Our projector.
yeah, exactly. Right. I feel like people need to hear that message again. You know, how you feel inside is what you project out. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
You know, it's very easy to forget that we are not the only ones on this planet, and everybody is a whole universe in themselves. So we can either only see ours or be completely disempowered and then see everybody else's and then not ours. So like keeping this balance of like, no, I am responsible for the way I perceive things because I perceive it that way. And if I say it's because of this, this, and this, I'm disempowering myself. And then it's outside of myself. So it's like, yes, it's my perspective. I think that's very empowering, right? Like I am responsible for my emotions, for like the life I'm creating and the way like, so that means if I'm unhappy, I can actually shift that perspective. And that's with any emotion, right? Like whatever, we can change that flow of the direction and then flow another way. And that's a really fun balance of both masculine and feminine energies there. And then also keep in mind that others also have their perspectives. And then it can become this really fun game of, oh, actually, I don't have to take everything so personally. This is probably their projection, right? And I think that's when we can deal with haters or evil eye much better instead of also being super disempowered by that. Because I think as a person, as a very feminine person, I grew up wanting to please everyone. And it's impossible. That's impossible. You just have to be yourself fully and fully taking on that. No, this is my perspective. This is my life. This is my universe. I can create it to be anything. So very fun. It's very fun to start seeing things that way, that everyone's just projecting.
That's so true.
Yeah.
True.
I've been saying that a lot this year. It's like you're the creator of your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide how you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you can decide too, you can choose to decide what you take in and what you choose to leave at arm's length. Like, okay, thank you for your opinion.
It's both nature and nurture, right? The surroundings,
Mm-hmm.
spaces. Yeah, not even just people. I feel like spaces, like energetically now, if I go somewhere and I'll step into a room and I'm like, yeah, no, I immediately feel some like, I can't be here. I can't be in this space for some reason. and just honoring that, like my gut, my intuition, and just my energy. Because then I feel like when we dishonor those parts of ourselves, and then we do end up not getting affected by those energies, it just becomes this whole mess. And it's very interesting because intuition can be like the simplest thing, or you can feel like you're like going through psychosis. It's like these very extreme ends. And so I always say just the simpler it is, the better. Because it's all the same underlying principles. A lot of the spirituality principles are very underlying similar. So yeah, simpler it is, it's better. Yeah, and you don't want to be having psychosis.
Is there, for our listeners, Aisha, is there a way to strengthen that, intuition, that gut response, to where, a lot of people, they doubt, or they just don't have that connection with themselves, where they don't know how to listen to their gut or what that feels like?
I feel like it's very similar to something Sahara said about resistance. It's like, why is my body resisting? It's like it's very interesting to see resistance, because underlying it is can be a lot of messages there. Like sometimes you need to go exactly where your resistance is taking you. And most of the times for me, it's like this little whisper of like, because I feel like channeling feels that way, right? Where it feels like most times I'm in first person, right? But then sometimes I feel like I'm just being told this is the right thing to do, or it's just this. It's more of this like knowing, right? People get intuition and fear mixed. I think like we have anxieties, fear, a lot of negative self-talk. And it's like, how do you separate that from like the intuitive hits? And intuition is never going to feel like fear. Intuition is always going to feel very safe, actually, because it's more of like a knowing. It may be the scariest thing you have to do. The action might be scary, but intuition is really, it's your soul guiding you. It's something that's always, it's been guiding you your whole life. It's that moment, like 7 years ago, I planted this seed because my soul knew I had to go through this, even though I wasn't ready 7 years ago. And that thread it brought me back 7 years later, because my soul was meant to do this. And it's like, it's almost this like, there's like this ease to it. You might have to go through 7 years of blockages to finally get to where you can go with the flow of it. But I feel like there's always this ease behind it. And a lot of times we just don't want to hear it because we're just afraid to do the actions to get there. Or like, we don't want to leave that relationship because we love this person so much, but we know we deserve better. So it's like this difference of like knowing and then fear. Intuition is always knowing. And then the more you practice, like when you every single time you listen to your intuition, it gets stronger. Every single time. So when I started practicing my intuition more, it would be like the littlest things. Like, what do I want to eat today? Like, what really honoring, like what, not just what others are saying or what I normally am just like in the cycle of eating, right? So it could be like the littlest thing of like practicing, like, oh, what color am I like like, look at us, all of us in these colors today. And like, what am I channeling today? And it's like, it's really getting to know your soul better. And every single time you do it, it sharpens it to the point where you're like, yeah, I know myself. Like, I know who I am intuitively. The moon, we have so many tools now. The universe is always supporting it. You'll see also when you are, sorry guys, I could go on about this forever, but I will say one last thing about it. You will see that when you are listening to your intuition, there is like this flow to it, that the universe, you'll see the synchronicities more and more because you're on the right path, right?
And just it's like, never to say that it doesn't come with its own challenges. It's almost like with the intuition comes this little power, this tool belt of just things. And all of a sudden, with the intuition, it comes that knowing of how to deal with those challenges too. It's kind of a package deal, right? It's following what you're supposed to be doing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Is it like, are you talking about surrendering to your intuition?
I was just going to say, you trusting and surrendering that the universe has your back, even if it's, like what Aisha said, or, Josie, when you said, 7 years ago, I bought this course, and trusting that at some point you're going to be revisiting that course again, and trusting that it's in divine timing.
Yeah.
I mean,
what I think is so beautiful too about that is that Josie, you said that it took your awakening was more like learning how to be still in the silence, right? So that you could hear your intuition. You could feel those nudges and those knowings and whatever else God and universe was sending you, right? And then it like brought you back to this place. So, Steph, you asked the question a while back of like, for listeners who don't know, my personal answer would be learn how to become more still in the silence. Learn how to be okay with silence. Right? Sometimes silence is louder than noise. And it's really just allowing the space and giving yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, I do have to add on to that, Kelly, because that's super powerful, but it's very interesting in my journey. I've learned that the more I am still and sit in silence, the more time I get back to myself. Like, who would have thought that?
It's a very funny, interesting paradox, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're in the doing, Josie, for a long time, like, how do you know when you need to... So you're in this like doing state of like pitta, right? When do you know to like, okay, I need to take a break. I need to get back into I need to recharge my battery. I need to take a moment to like pause. Do you know, or is there a certain feeling that you feel?
That is I love this question. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this question because it came up this week, actually, because I finished the journal and I'm like, what came to me is relax.
Oh,
yeah.
It's time for a kapha stage.
Vata, Pitta, kapha.
There's actually more to this. So my mind is telling me to go, go, go. My soul's telling me to relax. And I felt this conflict this week, like I just can't relax. I just can't. And then I'm like, I know I need to listen to my soul. Like, I know I need to relax. And so I actually had a coaching conversation with another member from Dharma Coaching Institute.
Wonderful.
And I was like, I'm all about mind, body, and soul. It should not be a conflict. So how can I connect my mind, body, and soul to work together to kind of relax, but work on the next thing? And it wasn't, what ended up coming out of that was just focus on one thing. Like I had the journal I was thinking about, and then I had the online course, and then I was thinking of like other things to do. But instead of doing multiple things, pick one thing and work on that. That is my relaxing right now. It's just one thing to focus on, because that is when the soul flows through me and projects out whatever it needs to project out. But then my body, I think about my body, and like when I do actually really need to chill, my body will tell me just take it easy. For me, when I truly need to relax, it's like my body actually telling me to take it easy. So in my mind, it's just an intermingling.
It's almost a tug of war with your mind and your body.
What's that song? My mind's telling me yes. My body.
Yes.
Am I telling me no? Am I?
Josie, what kind of practices do you do to kind of bring yourself back into that space, kind of feed your soul so that you can put more out?
Ever since DC, I started Dharma Coaching Institute, I've literally meditated day and night. And with that, and you'll hear it from like so many successful people, put something good in your body the moment you wake up, end the day with a good habit. everything in between is like just everything in between. That's not your past. It's not your future. It just is. So for me, feeding my soul with that meditation, guided meditation, where I'm listening to almost somebody tell me good things and having my headphones in and silencing out everything. It's like feeding my body with that positive energy that I need. So that has been really extremely helpful. And it's a daily ritual that I know it's helped me a lot.
Oh, I love that.
Generators.
I do too. Do you have any go-to meditations, Josie, that maybe we could even put in the show notes for some listeners if they want to try it out?
It's so funny. So Insight Timer is free. I've been using that. Somebody told me about that. And they have so many different meditations on there. I've been focusing on abundance because of my scarcity mindset. So you can actually save a lot of the guided meditations to what you want. I'm also really into like chakra cleansing as well. So whatever you're into, whatever you want to hear, you can save it and then come back to it at another time, and it'll just be in your playlist. But for me, I've been saving a lot of abundance, manifestation, guided meditation. So yeah,
Awesome.
We can put that in the show notes, the Insight Timer, though. It's great.
Awesome.
Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag Insight Timer.
Not yet.
It's coming, ladies.
That got Steph excited.
Hopefully not 7 years later.
Oh my God. No. When you focus on the positive, time, there's no such thing as time, right? It comes so much quicker when you raise the vibration. It just comes so much faster. So no, not 7 years.
I feel like when you just trust and you almost just let go instead of trying to push and force, I feel like time it feels shorter actually.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
When you're trying to force, it's like, oh God, it for me personally, it feels longer. But lately, same practice with you, Josie. I mean, surrendering and just, trusting and being in the still, like, I feel like, yeah, things are just happening quicker. I feel like.
Something about this year's energy in the collective, I can just feel that this was like the transitions I've seen in this year, just like you mentioned, Josie. Same for me, and same for, I'm pretty sure all of us, we could feel how transitional this year has been. The time has flown with us doing the podcast, like
2023. It's a magical year.
2023. And I feel like because of so much of the discomfort that we went through this year, the next few years are about to be very fruitful. 2024, 25, 26. My intuition can like feel until 26. That's
for
yes.
I hope y'all ready. We're coming to a city near you.
I love that.
I had a question for you, Josie, which I will ask this to Kelly too, because I want to ask the mothers this question. Becoming a mother is actually one of my dreams in life, and as could be for some of our listeners. And so what was that transition of womanhood to motherhood and just becoming a mother? Like, what was that experience for you in your life?
Okay, so like for the details, I never dreamt about being a mom. I wasn't excited about it. Like even to this day, my kids are very independent because I'm like, go make your own lunch, go make your own dinner. Like I'm not the type of mom to do everything for them. Although I do, like, I feel like I'm an Uber driver right now for them. But I was just never that coddling mom in a sense. So that's why it's hard for me to answer that, because it's not something like that I looked forward to. And even when I had my kids, Josh and I met, and then 6 months later, we conceived AJ in Costa Rica, by the way, which I love Costa Rica. And so we had AJ like a year later, basically. And then I got pregnant with Tristan exactly 12 months or right away. So they're exactly 12 months and 2 weeks apart. And during that time, like having 2 kids, I was just like, I was going crazy. People ask me how I did it. I have no idea. Like I literally, that time of my life is kind of blocked out. I remember at the birthing hospital, I was doing schoolwork and then going to work like a few weeks later. Like that was just so busy for me. So anyways, that's why it's hard for me to answer. And then Maddie came 4 years after Tristan. So yeah, that's the short answer. But it's
yeah, I wonder how that would feel to have that disconnect of not actually, because I think it's very interesting because exactly like in my experience, I feel like I've been blessed to have the time and opportunity to create that space to where I do feel ready for that now. And I know that has not been the experience for a lot of women, and that it just happened. And I wonder what that disconnect
I know for me, like I grew up with my mom working 2 jobs. She did, everything to provide for the three of us. That's why I work so hard because, right, we see what our parents do and we do it. And to be 100% honest, I love that about me. I love that I'm a hard worker. I would not change that for anything. So it was just seeing my mom work really hard. And, I wasn't a planner. I'm still not a planner. So it just kind of happened. And so that's why I always kind of brought work first and still do.
Very interesting though, because you still have like this very nurturing energy to you at the same time. So I love seeing both of your energies together. It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful.
It's because I'm a duck.
Tell us a little bit more about what that means, Josie. In case
yeah. They're like, duck?
Quack.
She doesn't look like a duck.
It's like I'm super calm and chill. And I'm usually like the observer of the group. I like to just chill. Like nothing bothers me. It's really hard to
on the water.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. A duck just gliding, but underneath the water, the feet are like. So that's me.
Little feet are going crazy.
Oh, this was amazing.
I love that.
God, I'd love getting to know all of you.
I have a question for Josie before we wrap up. And we were speaking about this a little bit before we started recording. Josie, in your 2 truths and a lie post, there was a small misunderstanding where the post was registering that you being a go-go dancer was in fact the lie.
Yes.
But you shared with us that was actually a truth.
Yes. I felt
I
so
need to know more about this go-go dancing experience.
And we're glad you were not lost in the wilderness.
Yes, we don't worry about that.
That would have been its own episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have something to say about that, but I'll say it another time. I felt so bad after you guys told me that the lie was the go-go dancer. I'm like, oh my God, like my friends probably think I'm like lying or whatever. So I went back. So the lie is, yes, I was lost in the wilderness for 3 days and I used to be a go-go dancer. I love dancing. I don't even know how. Actually, it started by going to all the nightclubs back in the day. Like I used my sister's ID when I think I was 18 years old, and I used her I used it as a fake ID. So I was in the club since I was like 18, partying really hard.
Where are there go-go clubs? Like where I grew up, there was never, there were nightclubs, but never with go-go dancers. So where was this?
Scottsdale, Arizona, baby.
Okay.
Scottsdale, Arizona. Yeah. So we would go get on the podium with our huge, like 6-inch boots.
I would have loved that.
Do you have videos, Josie?
Yeah, we need to.
I don't even think I have pictures. I honestly wish I did, though. I bet some of my friends can bust them out. But yeah, and it was so fun. Like, it was really, really fun.
I love you
Was
more.
that
Josie.
Was that a job? Did you get paid to do that?
Yeah, it was a job. Yeah. There was one, oh my
I was
God.
like, that is my calling in life. I need to do that.
Right?
Career
There-
redirection.
There was one night, girls, I got so complete wasted. I think it was a Halloween night. I fell off the podium.
Oh my God.
I think I fell
That's
onto a
it.
couple.
That's the episode highlight.
That's
I was
it.
gonna
That's the
say.
name.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those were the good
Oh,
old
it's
days.
Halloween. Oh, everyone loves my birthday.
Oh, so you were 18. So from what age did you do this go-go dancing? Was it like a long-term thing?
I was probably 21. So 18 is when I like actually went to the clubs, but I think I
Yeah.
was 21 when I started go-go dancing for like 2 or 3 years. I'm so bad with time, but I think it was 2 or 3 years. Actually,
Wow.
it was probably more like 3 or 4, but yeah. And then we would go to like all the Summer of Love like events, and it was just fun. It was so much fun.
That does sound like
It
fun.
sounds it. Mhm.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like you think guys hit on you like as a go-go dancer, but me and my friends, we just don't care about guys, as weird as that may sound. Like we'd rather be in each other's presence. That like I've never had anything bad happen in those situations. Like we were just always taken care of, and everyone knew us, and it was good times. It was fun.
Always protected by angels.
Yes, that's so
Yeah.
true.
Do you guys ever think about those experiences in life where you're like, yeah, how did I survive this? You're
Yeah.
protected. You're protected by the universe.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Josie, for being so open and telling us a little bit more about your story. We are certainly glad to know you even deeper, and we can't wait to know even more, as always. And tell us, how can our listeners get in touch with you and learn about you further?
The only thing I have right now is Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at The Divine Self by Josie. And my website will come out soon too. It is The Divine Self by JosieAnderson.com. It's not published yet, but by the time this is out, then you can visit me on my website.
Yay.
And thank
Awesome.
you, ladies. It was so amazing being in your presence. As always, Raquel, you were an amazing host. Love it. Love
Thank
you,
you,
girls.
Josie, for always shining your light. And thank you to my co-hosts for helping me out with all the questions and keeping this flowing. We have had a great time getting to know Josie today, and we look forward to touching base with you listeners again on the next episode.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.